Okay, this is a video explaining the sliding window protocol, more specifically, go back N. So we have two command prompts that's going to run two different programs. We're going to run a server program and we're going to run a client program. So as you can see here, the server starts and it waits for a connection. And then when the client is run, we establish the connection. So initially it's going to ask for a window size, and that's going to be in the form of an int. For this example, we'll use the window size 4. So we'll establish the window size and it'll let you know on the server side that the window size is 4. So now we can send packets of data in the form of strings. So we'll say, hi, how are you? And as you can see, we've sent 4 different packets of data. After I click enter, acknowledgements will start to be received. Acknowledgement 0, 1, 2, 3. Hi, how are you? This occurs because now the window has been filled, and the strings can start to be printed. So we'll end this program and we'll show you some of the error handling that it can also use. So let's run the program again. And we'll use the same window size. Now for this, we'll leave one of our packets empty. So we'll say hi, we'll skip the how, and we'll say are you. So you'll notice the acknowledgement at 0 will be sent, but now it'll say resubmit frame 1 data. This is because frame 1 right here, we didn't put anything. So the server wasn't able to receive that packet, and now it's going to ask for you to send that packet again. So we were supposed to say how, so we'll say how now. It'll let you know that data how was submitted, and now the packets can be sent again, but we're going to start again at the window size, at the initial window size, at window size 0. So it'll say, hi, how are you? So now we have that how. So now I'll show you how the code actually works. We'll start with the client. So we have a client class. We've initialized some objects, a socket, input streams, output streams. And the bulk of where our code actually works is in the client constructor itself. So we have 2 parameters we pass in, IP and port number. IP is going to be correlated with a certain IP of the device that you're going to communicate with. And then port number is also going to be associated with the port number of the server. We create a socket, and then we pass in the IP and the port number. This is going to be correlated with the server that you're trying to connect with. We print out some statements letting the user know that the connection has occurred, asking them for window size and asking them to input data. So now we create our input and output objects to get data from the user. Then we have a while loop. In the while loop, it's going to keep running until a specific keyword is passed in end, which lets you know the while loop ends. If that's not passed in, this will keep looping and asking the user for certain data that'll send over to the server. Once end is passed, all data streams and connections will be closed between the client and server. And then we have our main method. In the main method, all we do is create an object of the constructor, and then we pass in an IP and port number. The IP that we pass in here is a loopback address that's used specifically for local hosts, for programs that you're going to be using on your own device and not actually communicating with another device. And then port number can essentially be anything as long as it matches the server's port number. So now we'll go over to server. In server, we're going to have some similar objects. But one difference that we'll notice is that we have a server socket, and then we also have a socket and just an input stream because we're going to be taking data from the client. We have some integer values that we're going to initialize, window size, frame index, and win index. Frame index will be used for the frame array. The frame array will essentially represent the frame in terms of a string array. And then we have string window, which is another array that's going to emulate the window in the protocol. So now we'll go over to the constructor. Similar to the client constructor, we pass in the difference is that we only pass in a port number for this. So we create a server, new server socket, and pass in the port number. So if the matching port number, the client has the same matching port number, a connection will occur. And we'll let the user know a connection has occurred. Then we'll create an input object and take data that's been sent by the client to the server. We initially ask for the client to enter the window size that they'd like. So the window size is going to be, we're going to use a data. This the information that's sent over in packets is going to be in terms of a string. So we have to parse that to an int initially. After that, we take that value of window size, whatever window size the user has passed in, and we allocate it to make it the size of the window array. As you can see, we have a similar while loop that looks for that keyword end to end it. The loop is going to keep flowing through, keep looping through, and taking input that's passed in by the client. And that input is going to be allocated to the frame. So we're going to populate the frame with data input that's been sent over from the client to the server. So this is where the bulk of how the window and the window protocol works. So we take our window array, and that's going to essentially take data from the frame, populate it in here, and print it out. So you'll see this equation right here, win index modulus window size. What this does is essentially allows us to emulate the window sliding and the sliding window technique. So let's say our window size is 4, and win index will initially be at 0. 0 modulus 4 is 0. 1 modulus 4 is 1. 2 modulus 4 is 2. 3 modulus 4 is 3. And then that'll be corresponding with the win index here that'll keep populating this array. The one difference that you'll see is now when we get to 4, 4 modulus 4 is 0. So we've filled up the entire array all the way up to 3 because we allocated size of 4. And then when we get to the end, we're not going to be using the previous values again. So we'll go back to the 0 index and start filling it up with values again. So then 4 modulus 4 is 0, and we'll take the next value from frame and put it in there. So what you'll notice is that this essentially emulates the sliding window. All values that have been printed out will not be printed again. And then the window will be repopulated, moving frame by frame down the line. So this if statement essentially waits for the frame to be full before printing out values. Then we have another if statement that ensures that the value that's about to be printed out has some sort of value. If the window size equals to an empty packet, we're going to ask the user to resubmit the packet. We're going to ask for data, and this user is going to pass in the data, and we're going to let him know what him or her passed in. And then frame is going to be equal to the frame that was missing. So for example, let's say we passed in something for frame 0 and then didn't pass in something for frame 1, but we've moved down the line already. This equation right here is going to account for that and tell the data that's been passed in to fill the frame that's been missing. And then that's going to keep going through, and then all empty frames are going to be filled with the data and then repassed to the window. And then this essentially just prints out the values, the window values. After all that has occurred and the keyword has been passed in for end, we're going to terminate the socket connection and close all data streams. And then we're going to let the server know that the connection has been terminated. And then to basically run the program, what allows the program to mainly run is just all we have to do is create a server object, and we can pass in whatever port number we like. We just need to make sure that this port number matches with the port number we tell our client objects to pass in. And then that essentially allows the connection. And this has been an explanation of sliding window technique, more specifically, go back and end.